Let's begin by telling the truth most people avoid. Your energy didn't stop working because you're lazy, ungrateful, or not aligned. It stopped working because somewhere along the way, your energy got split. Not broken, just torn in two. One side of you is begging the universe for more freedom, more money, more meaning, more love. You say the affirmations, you make the vision board, you speak like it's already yours. And consciously, you really do want it. You're tired of struggling. You're ready for a breakthrough. You feel it in your bones. But then there's the other side of you, the quieter, deeper, older side. This side doesn't care about your goals. It only cares about what's safe. And right now, growth still feels like a threat. This is the shadow no one wants to talk about. This is the part most manifestation teachers skip over. It's easier to blame low vibes than to confront the truth that your subconscious is terrified of the very things you claim to desire. You say you want abundance, but part of you is asking, what if I finally get rich and lose it all again? You say you want success, but your body remembers how attention once felt like punishment. You say you want to be seen, but some part of your soul still flinches at the memory of being misunderstood, mocked, or rejected. These fears don't always speak loudly. They don't always sound like panic. Sometimes they sound like procrastination, like fatigue, like scrolling on your phone instead of showing up, like saying just 5 more minutes, and suddenly the day is gone. That's not laziness, that's protection. See, your body doesn't manifest from logic, it manifests from association, from pattern, from emotional memory. If you spent years adapting to pain, confusion, rejection, or chaos, then your nervous system now recognizes those states as normal. That means peace feels foreign, wealth feels suspicious, visibility feels unsafe, love feels unreal. So even as your conscious mind calls in more, your deeper programming pulls the brakes. And the worst part, you don't even know it's happening. You think you're failing, you think you're blocked, but you're not blocked. You're bracing for disappointment, bracing for betrayal, bracing for the other shoe to drop. And when you live in that braced state, your nervous system doesn't allow full receptivity. Your aura tightens, your voice changes, your creativity slows. You become energetically unavailable, even when you're physically showing up. Now let's break an even bigger illusion. Most of what you've been taught about manifestation is incomplete. The vision board isn't magic. The affirmations don't work if they trigger subconscious resistance. The law of attraction isn't about thinking positively. It's about embodying safety in expansion. And you can't fake that with words. You can't force it with a mindset. It has to happen in your frequency, in your body, in your field, in your felt sense of what is safe to receive. If your nervous system has been trained to believe that power equals punishment, or that success equals isolation, or that abundance always ends in loss, then guess what? You'll never fully allow yourself to hold those things. You'll get close. You might taste it for a while. You might even see results, but eventually your system will hit a ceiling. It'll retreat. It'll start sabotaging in ways you don't even notice. The email doesn't get sent. The opportunity gets missed. You forget to follow through. You feel blocked, but the block is inside, quiet, protective, trying to keep you small, because small is what once kept you safe. That's why most people almost succeed. They almost close the deal, almost launch the thing, almost trust themselves. Then they get tired, then they hesitate, then the fear creeps in and they collapse back into old patterns. And because they don't understand this energetic split, they blame themselves. They start the cycle over, more books, more affirmations, more forcing. But nothing changes because the subconscious hasn't been addressed. Here's what you need to understand. Your resistance is not the enemy. Your procrastination is not sabotage. Your fear is not weakness. These are signs that part of you is still waiting to feel safe. You're not just manifesting outcomes. You're manifesting states of being, and if your inner state is still built around survival, then your outer reality will reflect survival-level outcomes, no matter how much vision you have. So what's the answer? Not more pushing, not more shame, not more hustle masked as alignment. The answer is integration. You must speak to the scared part of you, not scold it, not ignore it, but actually hold it. Listen to it, let it be seen, because that part of you, the one that's bracing, resisting, hiding, isn't trying to ruin your life. It's trying to protect the younger version of you who once had to dim your light to survive. And this is where true manifestation work begins. Not with wishing, but with healing. Not with dreaming, but with embodying. Not with pretending you're ready, but actually creating safety inside yourself for the bigness of what you're calling in. Because the truth is, you're already powerful, you're already magnetic, you're already deeply aligned. But if your nervous system is still stuck in old fear, that power will leak, that magnetism will scatter, that alignment will break under pressure. This is why some people can build empires from ease, while others struggle for years with nothing to show for it. It's not luck. It's not destiny. It's nervous system alignment. It's subconscious readiness. It's energetic congruence. When who you are, what you desire, and what your body believes are all pointing in the same direction, everything flows. When they're not, you'll feel like you're climbing uphill with no end in sight. So if you've been stuck, pause. Don't blame yourself. Don't rush to fix it. Just get honest. What part of you is still scared? What part of you doesn't trust this next level? What part of you thinks success means danger? Until you face that, you're not manifesting, you're negotiating. You're asking the universe for change while silently broadcasting fear, and energy always listens to the louder frequency. Let this be the moment you stop the cycle, not with more effort, but with more honesty. Because once you bring that shadow into the light, the split begins to close. You stop leaking power, you stop resisting your own success, and your energy starts working again, not because you forced it to, but because it finally feels safe to flow. There's a strange kind of pain that comes from being close to something you deeply want, yet never quite getting it. It's not failure in the obvious sense. It's more like life dangling something just out of reach. You touch it, you feel the momentum, the alignment, the potential, and then somehow it slips away. You get a breakthrough idea, one that electrifies you with excitement and possibility, but by the time you sit down to act, the energy is gone. You talk yourself out of it, you hesitate, or worse, you numb yourself with distractions, promising you'll come back to it later. You never do. Or maybe you finally do post something raw and real, something true to your voice, and it begins to gain traction. People notice. It feels like your time, but just as the momentum begins to build, something goes wrong. It's like the air shifts, the algorithm glitches, you lose steam, you delete the post, the energy collapses, you don't know why, you blame timing, or the niche, or yourself. These moments aren't random. They're not just bad luck or a bad market, they're emotional feedback loops, what I call interference patterns. These are the hidden saboteurs running underneath your conscious effort, whispering in the background, hijacking your flow before it ever reaches full expression. You start to notice the pattern. You launch something and no one buys. You get an opportunity, but you ghost on it. You set an intention and something comes up. Always something. It feels like life is playing with you, teasing you, giving you glimpses, but never letting you hold the thing you asked for. And then, like clockwork, the inner critic creeps back in. Maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I'm just not consistent. Maybe I don't want it enough. But deep down, you do want it. You've always wanted it. You just didn't realize your system was locked in a loop. These loops form from trauma. Yes, even the subtle kinds. They form when your body records a moment of emotional pain and wires itself to avoid anything that might recreate it. For example, if you were ever humiliated for shining too bright, your system might now associate visibility with danger. If your family believed that money was evil or unstable, your nervous system might sabotage your abundance out of inherited guilt. If you were betrayed after opening your heart, you might unconsciously push away connection to stay safe. These aren't conscious choices. They're protective patterns built into your field. And so, even though your mind is aligned, your energy says no. It says, too risky. It says, let's stay small where it's safe. And the worst part? You don't even see it happening. It feels like you failing, when it's really just your system repeating an old safety strategy. So many people think they need to work harder or be more disciplined to break through. They try tougher routines, more strategies, more content. But no matter what they do, the results don't stick. The loop pulls them back. That's because these interference patterns can't be overpowered by force. They don't dissolve through hustle. They dissolve through awareness, through nervous system safety, through emotional honesty. The truth is, you're not lazy. You're not inconsistent. You're not broken. You're carrying weight you never chose, stories that don't even belong to you, patterns passed down from parents, ancestors, culture, people who lived in survival and gave you survival maps instead of freedom maps. You're not just building a life, you're rewriting a lineage. And here's what makes this so powerful. Once you become aware of the pattern, you don't have to fight it. You just have to listen to it. You start asking better questions. What emotion do I always feel right before I sabotage myself? What memory does success remind my body of? Who would I become if I truly received what I've been praying for? What would I lose if I finally got it? These aren't intellectual questions. They're emotional openings, keys to the original wound. And when you sit with them gently, you start to see the loop not as your enemy, but as a protector, a part of you that has been trying to keep you safe in the only way it knew how. The real healing begins when you stop pushing that part away and instead say, I see you, I hear you. You're trying to protect me and I'm grateful, but we're not in danger anymore. That moment, when your nervous system finally understands that the past is over, is when your energy starts to unlock. Your flow comes back. You stop fighting your own current. You stop short-circuiting your own success. You stop repeating the same story dressed in different costumes. Because you're not reacting anymore. You're responding with presence, with power, with peace. This is how your frequency changes. Not because you forced yourself into positivity, but because you became safe enough to expand, safe enough to receive, safe enough to hold what you once feared. And this, right here, is the secret that most manifestation teachings completely ignore. It's not about doing more visualizations. It's not about scripting affirmations until you're blue in the face. It's about clearing the static that's been jamming your signal. The static of unresolved emotion, the static of shame, the static of silence. Once the static clears, you don't need to beg the universe for what you want. It starts showing up on its own, because now you're aligned. Now your signal is clean. So if it feels like your energy isn't working right now, it's not your dream that's broken. It's not your ambition. It's not your effort. It's simply that your system is still looped into a version of you that doesn't feel safe yet to rise. And your job is not to fight that version, but to love them, hold them, integrate them. You heal the loop not by escaping who you were, but by welcoming all of you into who you are becoming. And when you do that, something beautiful happens. The same tests come, but you respond differently. The same fears whisper, but you stay rooted. The same opportunity knocks, but this time you open the door. This is not magic. It's resonance. It's coherence. It's you becoming undivided. You've probably heard the phrase, just align your energy more times than you can count. It sounds simple, clean even, like all you have to do is think better thoughts, visualize success, and believe in yourself. But the truth is, alignment isn't something you can fake, force, or bypass with positivity. Alignment is not just a mental decision, it's a full-body truth. And your body doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you feel. Here's what most people don't realize. Your nervous system is the gatekeeper of your manifestations. You can set all the goals, write all the scripts, chant all the affirmations, but if your nervous system doesn't feel safe receiving the thing you're asking for, it will quietly block it. Not because you're broken, not because you're lazy, but because your body is wired to keep you safe, not successful. And it defines safety based on one thing: what's familiar. That's why so many people feel resistance when they try to stretch into abundance, visibility, or love. If those things weren't safe in the environments you grew up in, if they triggered judgment, jealousy, betrayal, or burnout, then your system learned to associate expansion with danger. This is why you can't bully yourself into alignment. You can't hustle your way into peace. You can't chant your way into feeling worthy if your body has never felt that truth before. Real alignment only happens when your mind, body, and emotions are all moving in the same direction. Anything less creates internal friction, and that friction shows up as self-sabotage, inconsistency, procrastination, or burnout. You might think you're not trying hard enough, but the truth is, you're trying too hard. You're swimming upstream against your own nervous system, and your body is quietly saying, "This doesn't feel safe. Please slow down." You can feel this truth in your own life if you really stop and notice. Have you ever pushed yourself into launching something when you weren't fully ready? And it flopped, not because the idea was bad, but because your energy wasn't behind it? Or maybe you met someone amazing, but deep down, you didn't believe you were lovable yet. So you pulled away, or overgave, or created distance. That wasn't you being irrational. That was your nervous system running an old program, one that says, "Let's avoid the pain we felt last time." This is why regulation is more important than motivation. You don't need to hype yourself up every day if your system is regulated. When your body feels safe, energy flows, creativity flows, action becomes natural. Confidence returns, not as a performance, but as a quiet knowing. That's what real alignment feels like. It's not a high, it's a grounded hum, a feeling of deep inner yes. And you don't get there by pushing yourself into unfamiliar territory. You get there by expanding your window of safety, slowly, gently, intentionally. So how do you begin to do that? Start small. Start where you are. Begin noticing the moments when you feel sudden contraction, when your stomach tightens, your breath shortens, or your mind spirals. Those are clues that your nervous system is hitting an edge. Instead of pushing through it, pause. Breathe into the sensation. Ask it what it's afraid of. Give it a name. Give it kindness. You can even place your hand on your chest and whisper, "You're safe now. I'm listening." It sounds simple, but these micro moments of attunement are how you rewire your system. Not through willpower, but through compassion. The truth is, your nervous system doesn't want you to suffer. It wants you to survive. It's doing its job. But survival mode is not where your magic lives. Your magic lives in expansion. And to access expansion, you have to stop trying to force breakthroughs through adrenaline. You have to learn the art of safety, of presence, of self-holding. This is how alignment becomes sustainable, not through a sudden burst of motivation, but through consistent inner trust. And once your system begins to trust that it's safe to succeed, safe to be seen, safe to hold money, safe to love, you'll notice something powerful. You won't need to try so hard anymore. You'll stop chasing alignment and start living it. Your ideas will flow faster. Your energy will return. Opportunities will find you, not because you chase them, but because your frequency finally matched the version of you who could hold them without fear. Alignment isn't a peak state. It's not some perfect enlightened vibration. It's a relationship with your inner world, one where you meet every scared part of you with presence instead of pressure, When you stop fighting your nervous system and start working with it, something opens: space, flow, energy. You begin to operate from a place of coherence, not because you've conquered fear, but because you've integrated it. That's real power, and it's available to you now, not in some future version of yourself, but in the quiet permission you give yourself today to stop forcing and start listening.